What commonly occurs in movies that doesn't usually happen in real life? Getting knocked unconscious for hours and then coming to and being perfectly fine. I love how there was that episode of Monk that had an actual realistic portrayal of this. People with lower middle class jobs that live in a nice, large house in an upper middle class suburban neighborhood, or work in a coffee shop and seemingly have tons of free time besides a huge apartment. News reports that apparently repeat themselves every minute or two. Enough time for somebody to see a news report, pick up the phone, call somebody to tell them to turn on the TV. Then, without changing channels, the reporter immediately starts taking it from the top once again. With cars, news reports are magic in that they are relevant to the situation and start immediately after the driver turns on the radio. I've actually had this happen in real life. My brother called me and woke me up. Said, "You won't believe what happened. Turn on the TV." I said, "What channel?" He said it didn't matter. He was right. It was 9/11. Morgue and autopsy rooms frequently feature a coroner eating a pastrami sandwich over or near a corpse. It's like a Hollywood inside joke. Pretty sure that doesn't happen and would probably violate a bunch of health codes. Dreaming of snogging a beautiful woman, but actually you are being licked by a ducking animal. A house full of kids and the whole home is pristine. In real life, there's always going to be some toy or art project laying around, and most likely damage to the furniture. A beautiful successful woman has trouble attracting men because she's clumsy. In murder mysteries, the person you didn't think was the killer turns out to be the killer. In most cases, the person most likely to be the killer is the killer, and it is pretty obvious they did it. Also, person A goes to person B to tell them fact X which would resolve the plot, but person B simply refuses to listen, and person A gets teary-eyed and leaves after making some generic sad sack comment. In real life, person A would just go ducking, listen and say fact X. Most detective shows follow the formula of murder evidence points to one person main character isn't convinced 45 minutes of waffle crucial piece of evidence appears and true killer is found. The writers just tend to focus on character drama, which is usually great, but the actual crime's plot could usually use some work. Couples that have sex and never clean up their naughty parts afterwards. Someone pulls the fire alarm and the sprinklers go off. I see that shit all the time in movies. Talking in a normal level and hearing every word at a raging club. The club scene in Social Network was such a reprieve from this. Justin Timberlake yelled that parable. People hanging up the phone without saying any sort of goodbye. Curvy ended bed sheets that stop at the woman's armpits and the man's waist. Family breakfast on a weekday, which nobody eats. The kid takes a piece of toast, takes one bite and carries it out with him. Everyone else sits at the table, but leaves the moment that the breakfast is served. People rarely eat a meal, especially on TV. There's no time for that. Noisy horses. As if no one is going to know it's a horse unless it whinnies. Hey Bob, is Braverhut riding a humpback whale? Whinny. Oh, it's a horse. I see it now. I've had horses all my life and the only time they make noises when I go riding and my horse can no longer see his buddy or it's time for food. If we're talking statistics, my horses make more noise farting than whinnying. Grunt clop clop, clop fart clop, clop clop clop, fart clop grunt swish clop clop, fart. Typical sounds of a horse you're about to give a flake of hay to. Also typical sounds from my bedroom after a couple beers and calling my wife pretty. The real world in general is not nearly as combustible as action movies would have us believe. Sexual harassment leading to an adorable relationship, or full-blown emotional/mental abuse leading to an adorable relationship. High school parties that are of the same caliber as college parties. I honestly think my biggest parties were in high school, haha. Some pretty epic ones at that. As we got older, things just kinda got smaller to where it was 10 people standing around in a garage. People time their conversations perfectly. Very rarely do people start talking at the same time. Okay, so, really, what happens in real life? Is not perfect conversations? Yeah, no. Perfect speech? Perfectly grammatically correct ones? People end a conversation by abruptly walking away or hanging up the phone and make plans without spending a lot of time going over the details. So, pick you up at 8, apostrophe. Sure. I live at, apostrophe. I'll see you then, apostrophe. But you don't know where I live, apostrophe. See you then, apostrophe. In the coming of age type, shows where kids are in middle and high school seem to have 30 minutes to an hour between classes. Depending on the schedule and location of my classes, sometimes I had to jog just to make it to the next class before the tardy bell would ring. Person trying to hack into something types aggressively for 5 seconds and then says I'm in, apostrophe. Hacker, I'm gonna need at least 2 hours to backdoor into their firewall or some other tech jargon that makes no actual sense. Boss, you've got until I finish this sent, apostrophe. Hacker, I'm in, apostrophe. 1. Fights don't last 20 or more minutes. 2. Gunfights where you fire 8 jillion rounds and not hit bystanders. Just WTF. 3. Sexy time lasts more than 30 seconds. A lack of reloading too. And no ear damage for some reason. Dude. 5-minute reload with some orange juice and I'm good to go. How hard does she slap you to get ear damage though? Birth scenes. They always deliver the baby, but never the placenta. Good point. But let's keep it that way. Guns and all their click-clacks sounds. This, along with the swing sound swords make, if you touch them, or move them in any way. Ever seen a car catch fire? They typically don't explode into a percussive fireball that blows out windows and knocks everyone in a 100-foot radius clear off their feet. I've actually seen 3, and it is noticeable when the fire reaches the fuel tank. There's a good whoosh sound and the flames flare up some. Think squirting some lighter fluid onto the campfire, but explosions are pure Hollywood unless the fuel tank's full of fumes because the driver just ran out of gas. I actually saw a car catch fire across the street from my work. It was surreal cause people were taking photos and recording it on their phones. And I, not knowing what you know, was standing there waiting for the kaboom. People always coming back to life after the defibrillator. Movies. No 2 characters have the same first name. The company I work for had a team of 12 people where 4 were John and 2 were John. Lack of balding dudes. Full heads of hair or completely bald. No one is balding. No cleanup after sex. Handguns that have infinite ammo. Handgun silencers don't sound like that. Leaving a pint of beer halfway finished at the bar. Mexico doesn't have a yellow filter. Wait, what? Exclamation mark. Mexico doesn't look yellow. Colon. There is no sound in space. Booms and explosions in space should have no sound. The Expanse touches on this a bit, though they do add sounds for cool factor. But the characters at least follow the rule of no sound. There's one neat scene where a character shut off their comms during a spacewalk and touch their visors together to have a private conversation via the masks vibrating together. I saw this last night and I think it fits here. When a character runs into a room in a panic saying we have to go now. We don't have any time then. When people ask why, he says something like it was them all along. I should have known. We need to go. It would have been quicker and more helpful just to say dudes with guns are coming to kill us. Maze Runner. Scorched Trials. If anyone cares. I rarely grab a baguette while shopping at the grocery store. But when you do, you make sure to pack your grocery sack with 75% plus of the baguette sticking out, along with the top of all the leafy greens you purchased, right? Either that or a bouquet of fresh flowers spilling out of the paper bag. Hubby and I were having a laugh at CSI or a CSI equivalent show we were streaming where a female investigator wore high-heeled shoes to a crime scene and then, of course, had to run through an alley or warehouse chasing a perpetrator. I've been a litigation paralegal for 25 years and never wear high-heeled shoes to a crime scene or accident scene or to a client's home to have them review documents. Comfy shoes are the rule when navigating unfamiliar terrain. Or the female CSIs have their hair loose and never in a ponytail or bun while at a crime scene. The CSIs touch their hair or clothes with their gloved hands then touch the evidence. No foreplay and sex and women coming by penetration alone. It can happen. But God please, have foreplay, it makes things so much better. What about when people just fall back after and look at the ceiling? Where's your tissue roll? Where's the penguin waddle to the bin? To take the condom off. The penguin waddle is essential. Also, sex can include talking / laughing and weird noises. And IWSH stuff like that was shown more. Sound in the vacuum of space. Phone calls that connect without issue. People pick up instantly, and you can get to the point immediately. Drama is life with the dull bits cut out. Alfred Hitchcock. Two men carrying a huge pane of glass on the street. Making plans with people without the actual planning part. Wanna go out tomorrow? Yeah, sure. Okay. Exclamation mark. Okay. Exclamation mark. It seems very easy to knock people out in the movies. One punch to the head and down they go. 4 hours. Also, I can't stand how they take blood in the movies. Needle perpendicular to arm and all the way in. People go outside and touch each other and no one has to wear a mask and they can breathe on each other and sit in a restaurant and don't need to track and trace an. Happy endings. The girl throwing herself at the guy that didn't take no for an answer. Good guys always wins in the end. Get revived from cardiac arrest. The success rate is not anything like what they'd have you think. A parking spot right in front of the building they are going to. Giant, heartfelt speech is changing everyone's mind. Whenever there's an open window, the curtains are blowing in and out of the open window. The windows never seem to have screens. Gunfights where you can fire 50 rounds worth of bullets and still not ever need to reload. Never having to go to your job. No one takes a shit. Anything with Tom Cruise honestly. Having breakfast as a family during the week. I don't know about you guys, but I don't normally have a soundtrack playing in the background. Credits. Well, except this one time. I was walking my dog when suddenly bam, executive producer credit smacked me right in the face. Getting all of your groceries packed in one paper bag with a baguette and some kind of lettuce sticking out of the top. Typing fast and randomly doesn't make you a hacker. Sort of in the same vein, but grenades are far more dangerous than movies and games would have you believe. Funny, well-timed conversations happen and nobody laughs. People just leaving a conversation without saying a word. People being revived after drowning half an hour ago. Firing a gun without any recoil. It's magic, I guess. Popular kids don't hang out with selected people. Popular kids are often portrayed wrong in films. Automatic weapons in use by anyone not police or military, either in crime or in an apocalypse scenario or whatever. Mostly in the US. Automatic weapons are exceedingly difficult, rare, and fucking expensive for American citizens to own. For a variety of reasons. Watching most movies or TV shows taking place in America, where there's a crime shootout or a zombie situation, or whatever, you'd think every farmer and their mum had an SMG or machine gun stashed by the bedside. That same guy screaming sound in every movie, you know exactly the one I'm talking about. No coughs, hiccups, farts, sneezes, choking on water, burps, other normal bodily functions. Toasters alike. Too powerful in movies. When my toast is done, my toaster sort of bumps it upwards. But in movies, that shit pops. Unreal. 0/10ths. The illusion of the reality on screen is shattered. You walk into the bar in a small town where no one knows you, and everyone instantly stops talking, turns, and looks at you. Everyone takes their coffee black. There's no time. I'll explain on the way. Apostrophe. Dude. 0 people are getting in that car with you. 0 people hanging up the phone without saying bye. Horses in movies allowed. Constant neighing and puffing and whatnot. In reality there are mostly huffs and puffs and farts. One I've been annoyed with that I recently noticed while rewatching The Sopranos is how two people having a one-on-one conversation will still address each other by first name. If I'm having a conversation with just one person, I don't continuously use their first name. It's either omitted entirely because they know they're talking to me, or replaced with a familiarity like babe or honey with my wife, or bud, bro, dude, etc. for a friend. I'm also big on sir and ma'am for coworkers, especially superiors. Like, if I ask a coworker a question, they don't respond with John, we have 15 days to file the motion. You all will notice this from now on if you haven't already. Sorry for ruining everything. You hear a man's voice say in a world where you know some weird shit is gonna happen. This is literally how Once Upon a Time starts. Pretty accurate. Chloroform. It's not instant, like they make it seem. More like several minutes. When in a high school movie, a student's secret is revealed and everyone makes a big deal about it. I would currently be a junior in high school. I dropped out, but I know that if my best friend told anyone one of my dirty secrets, literally nobody would care. I also hate the ugly duckling to beautiful princess trope. In my experience of what I've seen of people wearing glasses and pigtails and being a bookworm etc. doesn't make someone unattractive. Heavily pregnant, yet still oddly beautiful and not swollen woman feels her water break, immediately goes to level 10 contractions, and has the baby in the parking lot. Alien invasions that destroy large portions of the world and its population. Most movies have some sort of suspension of disbelief. Just look at car chases. I mean, where is the traffic? If I tried that around here, even with covered work from home, there are too many seniors driving under the limit, and too many trucks going over the limit to allow some logic speeding through traffic. Person standing on the street. Car passes in front of them. Person is mysteriously gone. I'm able to suspend my disbelief most of the time, but this trope is really starting to piss me off. Characters ignoring tone, facial expressions or incredibly loud whispers. I especially hate scenes where nothing's wrong. Everything's super under control meanwhile shit is going down, and unsuspecting character is like lol okay I believe you, like come on, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. Men willing to drop everything for a woman. Random moments in high school movies where all the sports players run down the hall and make a mess and everyone cheers them on. I've never seen anything close to that. And how everyone has delicious looking meals in the movies when I get some mystery meat and a tiny bit of lettuce at my school. Speaking at regular volume after shooting a few rounds with no ear protection. James Bond shot down a helicopter from like 600 yards from a boat with a Wilder PPK with 32 ACT bullets. Explosions that you can see and hear at the same time. The nerdy boy slash man turns into a supermodel by getting contacts, a new haircut and new clothes. Same thing with the nerdy girl slash woman, contacts, new hairstyle, makeup and new clothes usually tight and revealing. CPR working pretty regularly, shocking people with no heartbeat. If you love someone enough, you are a good person and you have hope. Eventually they will fall in love with you. Things working out for the main character. Someone becoming seriously ill and needing some kind of organ transplant and lo and behold one comes up within days of diagnosis. People always and immediately answer the phone. Exclamation mark. Not once. Not once has a kidnapper made a ransom call and gotten an answering machine. Exclamation mark. Or a text back saying, don't know your number who dis? Apostrophe. The ability to crawl through ductwork. In 2020 the question should be what commonly happens in real life, but doesn't usually happen in the movies? The good guy's incredible ability to get shot at, but almost never hit. Please click subscribe if you enjoyed this video.